All right, we're going to go ahead and open up today's session. Thank you all for joining today. Really excited to be here with you all for our second session of the Summer Game Plan series.
It's my first time.
Before we move forward, I'm going to ask that you please double check your Zoom settings. Make sure that your audio and video settings are what you want them to be. Today, we'll have a session for Summer Synergy, strengthen ties with enrichment organizations and community partners. If you have not already, please introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know who's here today. Share your name, title, organization, and/or district. You can also rename yourself. If you want to include your organization and district, even your pronouns and your name on Zoom, feel free to edit that. And I'd also like to inform you all that today's session is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be available to you all after the session. Hey, so a little bit about me. My name is Destiny Lopez, or Destiny L, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the program manager with Partnership for Children and Youth, and I'm excited to be here with you all today. I want to thank my PCY colleague, Chris Valenzuela, Director of Programs, who's providing support with the chat and logistics today. Feel free to message me or Chris if you need any tailored support throughout the session. And I'm going to pass it over to Chris to share a little more about our background in summer learning.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Destiny. Again, Chris Valenzuela, pronouns he, him, his. First, just want to stop and say thank you all for being here and for the amazing work that you do every day on behalf of the children, youth, and families. We're super excited to see the wide range of stakeholders and partners attending today, because we know that it's your collaboration that is what it takes to take summer learning at scale. First out, we believe in the power of summer learning, and we've known from a really long time that summer is an important time for learning and development. Yet there has been hugely unequal access to high quality summer programs, particularly for students that are most harmed by structural, economic, and racial inequalities that have only been exacerbated by the pandemic. And that unequal access contributes greatly to the learning opportunity gaps that persist today. PCY has been dedicated to this for the past two decades, as well as many other partners and champions. And we have come to understand that what works to get the outcomes that we want to see during the summertime is not remedial or punitive summer school programs, and that the research is clear that summer programs that are designed more like a camp with a mix of academics and enrichment, with lots of opportunities for choice, social and emotional learning with experiences expanded horizon, is what works best. This series and the resources that we produce and share is based on this research and also on practical experiences of educators and leaders like the speakers that are going to be joining us today, who are really innovating and leading in this space at large. So a little bit of information just about the Summer Game Plan series overall. This is our 4th year of the Summer Game Plan series and our 22nd session. Since spring of 2021, the Summer Game Plan series has engaged over 1,100 different educators from nearly 800 unique organizations and 50 different field practitioners as speakers. Last year, we turned 7 sessions into short 3, 5, and 10-minute videos to help elevate key practices and recommendations. And we're super excited to continue to support you all in planning for your summer program, whether you are new and looking for where to start, to season summer, or if you're seasoned and just looking for new ideas from real world experiences. We recognize that summer program, especially the highest quality programs, take intentional planning. So this series will highlight a range of topics that will include some content delivery and also opportunities to dig into specific topics, small group discussions, and peer learning and sharing, along with curated resources to help you in your planning. So watch your email, check it out for these extra supports. Keep an eye out for us. With that, as my introduction of what we're doing, I'm going to pass it back over to Destiny.
All right, thanks, Chris. So let's move on. So you've heard from us, and what's going to make today really special is also having y'all engage with us. We're going to cover lots of information, and we want to make sure that you can engage throughout the session. So please use the chat to share your thoughts and questions as you're receiving information. We'll be monitoring the chat and recording any questions that come up to make sure that they're accounted for a little later in the session. You can also use reactions such as clapping hands or a heart something resonates with you. And for any immediate needs, you can raise your hand and we'll call on you to unmute. We do encourage you to turn on your camera during the session if you're able to. This definitely helps contribute to a sense of community. We get to see your faces. And in particular, during the breakout sessions, you will be able to engage with a small group, dig a little deeper into the information and process. So we especially encourage using your video and audio during the breakout sessions. Your participation is critical, and we're really grateful that you're here today and engaging with us all. We have a jam-packed agenda today, and we're really excited to get to all of this information. During our time together, we will begin with an icebreaker activity where we will hear from you all. And then we'll move on to a presentation by Paige Smith, introducing the value of partnerships and the Sperling Center for Research and Innovation's Enrichment tool. We'll then hear from Jane Dana and Astrid Cante on building and strengthening meaningful partnerships. We'll then have an opportunity for you all to process in the small groups as mentioned. And we'll rejoin the main session where we'll hear from your small groups, what came up, what resonated for folks. And at the end of our session today, you'll be able to understand some key strategies and best practices for creating new partnerships and maintaining existing ones. And you'll also know how to identify and use new tools for successful partnership building. Okay. So we're going to move on to a quick interactive activity. Maybe some of you have used Mentimeter before. We really want to hear from you all. And you have 3 ways to join the Mentimeter activity. So the first one is scanning the QR code on the slide with a smartphone or some device that has a camera. You'll follow the link in the chat. It'll be coming in soon. Or you can go to menti.com and submit the code that's on the screen. The code is 3658-5537. As you join, we'll see the live results and we'll spend a few minutes on each of those questions. Your responses are anonymous and we will be saving a copy of the results to process together a little later. You'll have access to those. So take a few minutes to join. I see responses are coming in. We're going to see them in real time. Share one word that comes to mind when you think of partnerships. The larger the word is on the screen, versus helping one another. Those are super popular ones. Collaborative. I'm seeing depth, openness, innovation, intentional, absolutely. I love that expansion is in there, just considering.
It looks like Destiny's having some internet issues, but that's okay. We can keep it rolling. I will go ahead and sub in and share my screen. Just give me one moment.
I'm back, folks.
Okay.
I'm in the Inland Empire. We have some wild winds right now and they're messing with our internet connection. So I thank you for your patience. I see responses are coming in. I'm going to start a new screen share. All right. I was sharing that a little earlier. I asked my brother this same question and his response was teamwork. And I love to see that it's up here as well for folks. Makes me excited. Okay, so moving on to the second prompt. We'd like to learn from you all how you're hoping to utilize partnerships moving forward, in particular for this upcoming summer. So you can vote for up to 3 options. I always think it's interesting to see what option's going to receive the most dots, what's most popular and present for folks, and also what receives the least amount of dots, but something that's a little unique to certain communities within your local context. Seeing enrichment is in the lead with 11. You have continued quality improvement or continuous quality improvement. Staffing and professional development. Awesome. So feel free to submit up to 3 votes. Seems like enrichment and continuous quality improvement are our most popular ones. It's awesome that professional development is coming up because that will be one of our topics in the breakout sessions. So, okay, if you have another vote, submit it right before we move on. Okay, thanks, y'all. And we're going to move on to our third prompt for you all. This will be an open response. So take a minute or 2 to really think about your response to this question. And then when you're ready, you can type and submit that response. For this one, what partnerships have you leveraged for summer learning already? What collaborations would you like to prioritize moving forward? So this is some reflection on the past, what has worked for you, and also what you'd like to prioritize moving forward. So take a minute or 2 to think about it. And when you're ready, submit your response. Also, I'm seeing local businesses and external partners. We're going to learn a little bit more later on about recognizing the value of internal partnership and also external partnership. I'm seeing routines and consistency have worked well. I would like to build more relations with the community and in-house field trips. This is awesome, y'all. We're talking more about field trips later on too. Career-oriented and life skills, local programs, reading and active activities, capacity building partnerships to improve quality and sustainability. I'm seeing administrators, community services staff, external partnerships for summer on-site experiences / excursions for K-12 students. I think this is really fun just to consider the unique context of summer learning and programming, being an opportunity to have fun camp-like activities. I'm seeing previously some experience working with government agencies, recreation centers, and nature / outdoor education. Summer is the perfect time to get out, get some fresh air, engage with students, local libraries, partners on campus. Enrichment learning, awesome. Feel free to continue submitting responses. We'll keep this open. I am going to switch back to the presentation. Thank you for engaging in the icebreaker activity. If it was your first time using Mentimeter, I hope that was fun, something different to have visuals and see what other folks are thinking as well. We're going to move on. Right. So we're going to jump into our first presentation for today. I'd like to welcome Paige Smith, an education consultant from Sperling Center for Research and Innovation. And she's a returning summer game plan presenter. Really happy to have you here, Paige. Paige will highlight the value of partnerships and provide an overview of the SCRI, or Sperling Center for Research and Innovation, Enrichment Toolkit. She'll focus on the tools that are most helpful for building and maintaining partnerships. Thank you for being here and welcome, Paige.
Oh, thank you, Destiny, for having me. Thank you guys also for having me. It's always fun to come and speak to you guys about summer learning opportunities. Again, my name is Paige Smith, and I work as an education consultant with SCRI. Before we go further, I just want to let you know a little bit about SCRI. SCRI is a nonprofit organization, and it's affiliate with Bell Excel. It's dedicated to empowering youth programs by providing innovative solutions and resources that create a meaningful impact across various settings and communities. Specifically, at SCRI, we turn research and evidence into actionable and practical solutions, which we will discuss and talk about today. Today, we're gathered here specifically to discuss strengthening your enrichment programs through community partnerships. During our meeting, I will highlight the significance of collaborating with community partners to create effective enrichment programming. And I will also introduce our SCRI's high-quality enrichment toolkit, which can be used to help you and your team prepare for the upcoming summer. And so if we can go to the next slide.
Sorry about that, Paige.
No
Give me
worries.
1 minute. I'm going to change my presentation open, just in case we need to do a new screen share. I'm going to try one more time.
All right, awesome. So it was wonderful getting ready to see your feedback on what type of partnerships you guys currently participate in. It looks like you guys are pretty much, experts in understanding the value of partnerships and where partnerships can take us, and really utilizing those partnerships to offer the best programming to the youth that you serve. So if we can go to the next slide, I will really just discuss just briefly about the value of partnerships.
Just a webinar.
As you probably already know and have experienced as a practitioner, partnerships are critical for the success of OST programs. We know that we have limited resources, we have limited staff, we have limited time, and partnerships are really, really crucial in offering those type of programs for the youth that are involved. Research shows, research from Bell Excel, but also research within the field of OST has shown that young people benefit the most from programs with strong connections with schools and families, which can be achieved through partnerships. So it really is, as practitioners within the field, super important for us to commit to make those real world connections for the youth that we serve, and bringing in other organizations or individuals to help fill those needs. I've been fortunate enough to participate in various summer program planning teams and initiatives, ranging from school districts to nonprofit organizations. I've worked with intermediaries like PCY and have seen firsthand how, if you are super intentional in developing your program partnerships, it can enhance your organizational capacity and improve your program culture by leveraging local community resources and strengths. As you guys continue to navigate the enrichment planning process, I do want to share some vital insights with you guys, and maybe some tips and tricks for you guys to use as you decide to pick your partners throughout the summer. So while I do understand that a lot of the times as practitioners in the field, sometimes we can tend to operate in silos with things that we can, control. And I know that in your current school districts or organizations, you typically plan for and staff, persons who can implement your summer enrichment activities, but really considering how to use partners can position your program as a community asset by demonstrating the value youth serving programs and organizations bring to the community, right? So now is the perfect time For you and your planning teams, it's March, it's really summer kickoff time. To really think about your program vision and your program goals. What type of activities are you trying to have for your youth? Where are you trying to move as an organization? And really come together in a collaborative process to identify people or organizations within the community that align with that vision and goal, and can help you provide new experiences to the youth that you serve. And so, for partnerships to really work, to obtain that value in those partnerships, we've seen throughout the work, and I'm pretty sure you guys have experienced, that effective partnerships are based on a shared value proposition, right? And so we need to make sure that we are all going in the same area. We want to have the same values and the same goals. We want to align on what we want to teach our youth, and we want to make sure that we are supporting them in the best way possible. And this value proposition, it's super important that it is in a formalized agreement, right? We all know both partnerships understand where they're going, where they've been, what inputs or activities they're going to be responsible for, who's going to staff what program resources will be used, how curriculum will be developed or designed, and that can be done through an MOU or a program service agreement. Also, who's going to be responsible for planning these enrichment programs. It is March, so this is the time that all of those enrichment partners you would like to have within your program, bring them along in the table so that you can create a shared value proposition. You guys can align to what you want to do with your youth and able to move forward, so you guys know that you're all meeting those expectations. The purpose of these agreements should be to encourage the sharing of resources to benefit all parties involved. Partnering with individuals and organizations can help provide valuable input, and it can also allow your program to have access, right, to content-specific experts. We know that in the field, we teach all. We hire people who can teach all, but those content-specific experts, whether it's in STEM or SEL, whether it's in the arts or even physical education, will allow you to have that breadth and depth within your curriculum that can really spark change within the youth that you serve, right? It also helps you to connect with the community and to strengthen the community within the program, which can also build towards sustainability. So when we're actually thinking about the value of partnerships, it's not just on a programmatic standpoint. You know, partners can come together and they can really help you build your program by curriculum, as I stated before, but they can also become value thought partners in planning, maybe even fundraising as you move through your partnership. So it's important to note that building strong partnership takes time and effort. You have to find that sweet spot, right? You have to recognize that the partnership should be mutually beneficial, and outlining in your agreement or in the MOU will allow you to see how the partnership can be super mutually beneficial. So again, this is the time. This is the time to do the work to figure out how to leverage resources within your community. They require intentional nurturing, but the benefits are significant, such as improved program quality, efficient resource utilization, and even enhanced sustainability over the long period of time. Finding the right partners and really nurturing that relationship can help you expand your organizational capacity. We can only hire so many staff. They can only work so many hours. If you bring your partners into that planning process, you might be able to have a partner who will be able to help you with curriculum design or modification, give you wonderful ideas of new field trips to be able to join, be able to demote, have time to be able to think about the individual pieces that you might not currently have at your organization. Partnerships also help you broaden the scope of your programming. If you're a STEM program, but you definitely want to have physical education in with your program, which you should, it allows you to offer those extra activities. It can allow you to bring in to bring in appropriate people who can talk to the benefits of whatever your program about. You can create a pipeline of partners, right? With that high level of mastery in the area you want, but also a pipeline of partners who then become a part of your organization and can be vital stakeholders and really go out and sing the praises of all the wonderful works you guys are doing within the community. And these partnerships don't have to necessarily be long-term, right? We can have one-day partners, we can have one week partners, we can have 1 month partners. But as you're thinking about the partnerships and you're thinking about your mission and vision and goals for your enrichment program and your organization, it's going to be super important to figure out how long these partnerships should be, for how long, and in what way will they actually implement your program, right? And then, partnerships can help strengthen community connection. It's that roundedness, right, that we want to have for the youth. Once people know that your program is there, then they're going to be able and be more applicable to advocate for you, whether that's in marketing or helping you receive new students or fundraising additional funds that's needed. So, and then last but certainly not least, partnerships can help you build that cultural awareness and identity that might be specific to your community, right? It benefits in expanding your enrichment offerings, but it also benefits in being able to offer things that are specific to your area and allowing youth within that area to participate in those activities. All right, next slide. So partnership is actually a process. I know we have different types of organizations here. I know we have school-based organizations here. I know we have nonprofit organizations here. This slide specifically talks about 5 principles that support partnerships between school and extended learning. But these principles really can be used across nonprofit organizations as well, right? And so, looking at a shared vision, which I kind of talked about before, what are you guys are going to learn? What does success look like for you in this partnership, right? And how can you support or enhance or try to move forward some type of academic agenda if that's part of your agenda, right? The partnership process, what does it look like in a staffing model? Again, we don't have infinite staff. Is the staff going to be there full day, all day? Will you be able to leverage staffing to be able to maybe cover or serve even more students if you guys take the staff of both organizations and partner them together? Will that content expert, again, be able to bring that breadth and depth with the curriculum that can sometimes be missing in enrichment activities, specifically in the summer? How far will this partnership go? We have a planning process and we have a design process and we have an implementation process. Can we have partnerships at each level of leadership within the partner, right? And how can that help for sustainability? What information will be shared or not shared between the partners? Is it just resources? Will there also be some type of data collection or pictures or quotes that each of the partners would like? But you really need to be able to nail that down as well as you think about your partnership process, right? And then the internal and explicit contrast between, what you're trying to do and what your partner wants to do and how that promotes the learning of the youth as a whole. So those are just some of the nuts and bolts of the partnership process to help get through those 5 principles. Again, it's advised to develop an outline, create that together on what you guys want to do, describe a proposed program, talk about where the programs will be held and how the resources will be allocated, right? Highlight the need for the area and making sure that your partnership is actually highlighting those needs, right? Discuss the expectations from each of the partners that are going to be a part of it. And then, of course, drafting a memorandum of understanding. So all of this process, all of this planning, all of this process, all of the value of partnerships, it only happens with intentional planning. And so right now, if we'll go to the next slide, I'll kind of transition into why it's important to plan for success. This also transitions into our SCRI toolkit that we have actually developed for practitioners such as yourself to be able to help you in your enrichment planning process, right? So studies have shown, that well-designed OST programs who concentrate on broadening the learning opportunities can offer significant advantages in math, reading, and social emotional development, particularly for struggling youth. You guys know this, right? This is why we're all in this business. And so as of March, planning early and comprehensively will help to execute, smoothly that plan. And so if we'll go to the next slide, it's super important about having a clear vision, which we talked about before in the partnerships, understanding the interest and developmental needs of the young persons being served, committing to high quality programming, having a skilled team together, right? And figuring out how to do these things is super important within the field. And so at SCRI, we saw a need. We saw a need to kind of fill the void where there's a lot of information that was available about academics and high quality academic program, but not so much about enrichment. So we had a call to action and we wanted to have a contribution within the field. If you want to read more about that contribution to the field, we do have an enrichment position piece. A link to that will be placed in the chart, but it will really talk about our recommended approach to developing high quality enrichment programming, and having those enrichment partnerships is actually a part of that. This model that I'm going to briefly talk about follows an academic instructional model where you have courses that are aligned with program vision, goals, and youth interests, but definitely the process and going through this process will allow you to also figure out what type of enrichment programs you guys need to have and the type of partners you need to go out and try to communicate with and trying to implement your enrichment program. So it is based on the understanding that engaging and impactful enrichment program needs to be as well planned and high quality as academics. It is recommended that enrichment activities be offered within the structure of a course with units and lesson plans. Enrichment should be fun and engaging, provide opportunities for sequential skill building, exploration, exposure to new things, and social emotional development that builds targeted skills and competencies. Each enrichment course has a content-focused objective and scope and sequence and lessons. And so these are kind of some things that you can look to check off, right? As you're looking to figure out, should I partner? Will it bring any additional value to my organization? Who should we partner with? This enrichment piece may be able to help you check some things off. Will it be fun and engaging for my youth? Does it have sequential skill building, et cetera? All right, so next slide. All right, so here's pretty much the breakdown of our enrichment process. We actually just concluded today a 3-part webinar series that actually goes through this whole process. There are tools that specifically go with each of these 3 areas. So we have the enrichment inventory section, the plan for success, and implement with intentionality. And so what I want to do is kind of go through to the next slide. This enrichment process is built on what makes enrichment high quality. That's what it's anchored on. This what makes enrichment high quality should also anchor into the type of partnerships that you guys are going to go out there and get. And so making sure that there are aligned goals, that these partnerships are grounded, that they're skill focused, that they helped with class size or leveraging staff for class sizes, and that they're also appropriate. So this process also supports that, that framework. Next slide. All right, and so I won't go through this in depth, but just to let you know that our SCRI's enrichment process really is grounded in understanding your program's vision and goals, right? And really aligning the steps that you need to find enrichment partners or partner with individuals that actually support those. And we have tools that are associated with each step that can help you as a practitioner in the planning process, but are definitely designed to be used as a team building exercise for you to identify as a planning team and as your organization ways in which you can strengthen your organizational capacity as it specifically pertains to enrichment in your organization. All right, next slide. All right, so here are some of the tools that specifically talk about enrichment. The toolkit has a lot of different tools. So if you go to the website, you can use them all as you see fit. They can be used individually, or they can be used sequentially if you would like. This Youth Interest 360 survey is really a tool that's a survey for all stakeholders involved with youth, dealing with youth, parents, guardians, the community. What type of enrichment programs do they want to see? You know, what type of partnerships would they like to see? The survey can kind of help inform who you should go out and partner with, and will it actually bring some added value to your organization? We also have an enrichment resource mapping tool. This is a mapping tool that you can use as a planning team to figure out, what do you have currently in-house? What could you may need to go out and look for that you don't have that actually align with what the youth want to do? And if you don't have it, what are the next steps for you guys to go out and get it as a team together? Next slide. All right. And we also have a curriculum selection tool and an external partner evaluation rubric. So our curriculum selection tool follows the key components for curriculum of high quality enrichment. It could be used to assess partner's curriculum to make sure that there is alignment to your values and high quality enrichment, or it can assess your own curriculum. It also allows you ways to build on your curriculum and add the breadth and depth needed for your youth. And we also have a tool called an external partner evaluation rubric. It really makes sure that you are picking partners and aligning partners to the mission and vision of your organization. All right. And I know I talked about a lot the value of partnership, but here are some key takeaways to take away. And we really wanted you to know with the introduction of these tools is that making intentional connection with schools, families, and the community takes planning and forethought. The tools that I presented with SCRI can help you go through that process as an active team. Partnerships should be a two-way street. MOUs, understanding values and goals, and making sure that organizations and individuals have something to offer helps with a successful relationship. And communication and flexibility are crucial for maintaining strong partnerships. So starting early, utilizing tools, and having these conversations can only make your partnership stronger. Thank you. I'll send it back to Destiny.
Thanks so much, Paige. Appreciate everything you shared just around the value of partnerships, and also the enrichment toolkit, a very comprehensive toolkit that you can tailor to your own needs and leverage the most helpful tools. I'd also like to introduce our next presenters from Lancaster School District. We'll hear about building and strengthening meaningful partnerships. I'd like to introduce Jane Dana, the Director of Expanded Learning, and Astrid Cante, the ELO Site Supervisor. Their presentation will help you gain foundational knowledge, program plan ideas, best practices, and understand connections to the standards. So thank you and welcome, Jane and Astrid.
Thank you, Destiny. That is our hope. We're hoping that you're going to get something out of this presentation. I am really excited to be here. Astrid and I right now are currently working with 19 schools. We serve about 2,000 students in our after-school programming. Summer programming is about 1,000 students. So we really are invested in this work and can't wait to share some stuff with you. So Destiny, we're ready. Click. So all of the work that we do, all of you, we have a program plan that guides this work. And that the program plan is based on the quality standards for expanded learning. So when we look at our program plan, we really need to understand that we need to build it with 3 layers. The programmatic piece is what the district, the school, the organizations, what actions are we going to take to support this work that we want to do with our partners? Because when I look at the word staff, it's like, yes, Lancaster, we have our staff, we have employees who are doing this, but we have providers, we have people that we're bringing in, and they are part of our staff because they're part of our team. And the participants are the students and the families that benefit from this work. So when we look at the standards, because they are part of the program plan, they drive the work, we have to make sure that we're looking at it through the lens of programmatic, staff, and participants. So I'm ready, Destiny. So taking a quick look at the standards, the point of service standards, those quality standards are the day-to-day. That's what's happening at the site. That's the experience. Everybody needs to know how to do that. So when we look at our collaborative partners, we need to make sure they understand what those point of service quality standards are. And then we have the back end, which is the organizational standards, which are the programmatic quality. Look, quality staff are the teachers, the classified, so certificated, classified, but it's also, again, our partners that become part of the team. So when I see staff, it's our partners. And making sure that everybody really understands, again, all of the work that we have to do on the back end, so the front end experience is rich. Next. So looking at the collaborative partnership standard, this is extracted from the CDE program guide. These are the prompts that they give when you're writing your program plan. They're asking you to look at this and answer to this. So I'm going to give you a minute just to look at that. So this goes to what Paige was talking about. Paige was talking about the intentionality, making sure that you have things in writing, the MOUs. It's all connected work. And then finding those people that are those content specialists, absolutely. Next. So collaborative partnerships, I'm going to pass this off to my colleague to talk about this standard.
Thank you, Jane. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. When you're looking at collaborative partnerships, and as Paige was talking about, the summer game plan, you have to have your foundation. Your foundation is the definitions that Jane was talking about, the programmatic, the general definitions that we are given, all the parameters that we have. And so in being very intentional, you have to know those parameters. You have to be well-versed in everything that is required and expected of the programming that you are giving. And so that intention is with who you're looking to partner with. What are they going to be able to provide the students? It's not just about filling time with the students and giving them a few sheets to do. And again, just filling time. The students have to come out with a true sense that there is more out there for them, that they actually learned something, excited to come back the next day. Summer is long. You want them to come back the next day. You don't want attendance dwindling. You want families excited for the students to continue to attend your programming. And it gives that exposure to partners. If you're building the community partnership with people outside, you are keeping them involved in everything that you're doing throughout the summer and hopefully throughout the school district. Next slide. So with this slide, again, it just gives you the general definition of what collaboration is, what you're looking for. You're looking to outreach, you're looking for culture. You are looking to meet the needs of all the students. It's not a one-size-fits-all. That's with whatever the students are interested into doing as a career. They may not know. They're little. It depends on who you are servicing. So you have to know the students that you're servicing, what their needs are, what that student voice, what their interests are, what their families are like, in order to be able to pull the right community people in order to provide those needs and also expand. The key word is to expand their world and their world views of what they can do for their future. The next slide. You can go on to the next slide. Okay, so then this also goes into the definitions of the work that we're looking to do. The standards, you have to know the mission, the vision, the goals. What outcomes are you looking for? How are you measuring these outcomes? You can't just throw out any programming and then not actually follow through with the students, with the families, as well as your partners. You want to know what worked for them, what didn't work for them, so that you can clean it up for next year and they can keep coming back to you. The activities that are planned, again, very, very intentional. There has to be what we call disguised learning and everything. The students don't want to know that they are going to school during the summer. They want to have fun, and they're having fun, but they're learning. And so if they want to know cooking and you're integrating a cooking class, it's, yes, they're having fun, they're eating, they're learning, but they're learning about nutritional facts. They're learning about portion sizing. So you have to be super, super intentional with everything, and you have to educate your community partners in exactly what you want. So you have to be very visible. You have to be very involved with every single entity that you bring in to work with the students, because we also have to make sure that they're not giving out any information that we wouldn't be okay with. Next slide. So again, thank you. Prioritizing the students' needs. You have to.
I think it's the other side, Destiny. It's going one back. Sorry, participants.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on the right slide.
Yes, that's the
Okay.
participant side about the student outcomes. If you could just
Yes.
highlight, Astrid, about what we did with our community partner that we have, our local business.
Correct. And so when we reach out to community partners, it's cold calling, emailing, and visiting, showing up in person and talking to them and letting them know exactly what it is that you're looking for, building them up. A lot of families also have businesses that you can tune into and provide that support to small businesses. With one in particular that we partner with that's new this past summer, brand new business owner, and he and his wife were very, very anxious and just so excited to join our efforts and bring the students in. And so we had many meetings with them to let them know exactly what we were looking for. We educated them, and they live in the community, they own business in the community, but it doesn't mean that they know the students in the community or what the students are going through. And so they have to be very sensitive to what the students are going through. We in our programming service students that are homeless, foster, EL, and they weren't aware of that. And so with their language with students, they have to be very careful to make sure that they weren't unintentionally excluding anybody. We have to be culturally sensitive. We have to be sensitive to so much, and they were more than willing. And so this is something that you have to invest a lot of time. You're going to see the seed just flourish with these businesses, and they did, because we helped them build their own programming for our students.
Thank you, Astrid. Thank you, Astrid. I was actually hoping you would highlight the aerospace, but we'll just move on. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this is not a one size fits all. With our programming, and Astrid spoke to it, it's not homeliness, it's homelessness, but I'm going to fix that. Sorry about that. One of the things that we need to keep in mind when we're working with providers is that they need to understand our audience, and our students that are in situations of being homeless and foster, they're experiencing toxic stress, and it's real. And they need to understand that we have some homes that are same sex. So we have some homes that when you say, is your mom taking care of you? Well, there's a single parent there and there is no mom. There's incarceration. There are just so many factors that we need to take into consideration. There is no one size fits all when you look at the developmental needs of your students. Your TKK students are different than your 6-8 students. The social emotional aspect is different. The physical needs, TKK is a play-based learning environment. It's not direct instruction where everything else is direct instruction. So we have all of these factors. So when you bring in a collaborative partner and you're looking at the collaborative partner and you're saying, okay, here we go. You can't just say, go into the room. We tell them, who takes care of you at home? Don't say, what is your mom? No, mom, dad, you know. You don't know. So we have to train them to work with our students to make sure that they are being sensitive and understanding and accepting, and making sure that when they're working with students that they have an obligation to make sure that that is in the forefront, not just their specialty of content, but making sure that they're looking at this. So there is no one size fits all. And some providers come to us with great background knowledge, and some of our providers have never worked with homeless students. They don't know. And so they come to us, and now 3 years into with some of our partners, they are really now getting it. But we spend a lot of time training them and supporting them before we put them into the situation. And then we work with them and guide them. So that's really important as you're looking to build these relationships with partners. And as we get to the end, I'm going to feature some and tell you that some of them, this was all new, but it's possible. Next. So looking at internal and external partners, and I love this graphic because it is not truly a magnet. It was like more a rope and pulling them in, because people were just like, what? You what? And so the next slide is the internal stakeholders. We're going to I'm going to have Astrid share one of our, if you could click next, Destiny, we're going to go into sharing just, she's going to highlight one internal partner, and I'm going to highlight one internal, because you have to remember your partnerships internal are equally as important as your external. So Astrid, can you please feature the child and nutrition?
Yes, so for child nutrition, one thing that we have to remember with students is we all have to deal with behavioral issues, and a lot of behavioral issues comes because of their home life. One of the factors that we realized affects our students deeply is hunger. And so collaborating with our child nutrition services, everybody works with child nutrition in one aspect or another, but it was going further. What do our students need in order to have a successful day and to go home, whatever home to them is, with a full belly? Not just happy from the learning experience, but so that they don't go to sleep hungry. And so we invested a lot of time actually realizing what we need for our students, then going to our child nutrition department administrators and telling them what we need, letting them process and hearing them out. What can they meet and what can't they meet? What are their struggles? What are the barriers that they're facing, and helping them find the solutions, not accepting no for an answer because they just didn't want to, is because they couldn't. Is it staffing? Is it hours for staffing? What do you need? How can we support? Is it that you don't have the funding? And we were able to help them break down the barriers that they were facing in order to provide these services for our students. Getting breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. And that's a lot of food. We had the students, wow, why am I eating so much? And and behavior was curved.
And I just want to say that it's really important to understand that we had to write that into our program plan. Our students told us they were hungry. We surveyed our students. They were hungry. Behaviors were up. Food was put into the equation, not just a snack, like real food, meal. And you know what? Behaviors went down. Just another one that I'm going to highlight that is not on here. We actually have a school day partnership, a joint use agreement regarding our safety. We have security guards in the evening because there's high crime here, and there are things that happen. So we needed to have a partnership where we shared an expense with the school site. So it was really incredible when you look at these internal partnerships, and we have so much more, but it's spelled out in our program plan because we do some partial funding. I'm ready for the next one, Destiny. So here it is, potential local partners. Oh my gosh, I love making cold calls. It must have been my time when I did real estate when I started out. I was just like, okay, what do our students want? We go out there. What does everybody think that people that are, we asked our families. Then we were the local businesses, and I don't live here. So then I had to find out. I was like, okay, I'm just calling, making calls, using the student voice, because everything is driven by student voice, and making the phone call. So let's go through what the experience was like with the people that I called. So this is a picture of our little angels and what we were able to do with being intentional and providing content, as Paige said, specific partners. I'm ready for the next slide. Tony Capco. He's a musician. That's all he's done with his life. He was born and raised in Lancaster. I'm going to tell you, I called so many musicians. And he was like, well, I don't really. I said, please. He was my last call. I was like, I need somebody who can do this work. So brought him in. He was like, I can do it. Well, I'm going to tell you now we have 12 musicians. That's just a little bit of the musicians. We have violin, guitar, hand percussion, drums, trumpet. It is wild. And you know what? Our kids now are getting music classes from people that they would have to pay for. It's free here. And you know what? They're choosing. We don't ask the families. Do you want to put your child in this class? We find out the children get to sample it and try it, and then they're like, do you want to try it? So it is amazing because you know what? Our families will sign up kids for everything. Our students tell us what they want, and then we find the partners to do it. So we give them a little taste, and we say, okay, let's go. So we've expanded that. Next slide. This is the partner that Astrid was talking about. This guy just acquired this business. We're like, hey, we want to work summer with us? He developed a program. We have a lesson plan framework. We worked with him. We helped him become a teacher. We designed it with a teacher. And we said, this is what we're going to do. It needs to be career exploration. They need to learn the names of the machine. There's vocabulary. They created their own personal pizzas. Oh my gosh, there's so much more than just ordering a pizza. It was amazing. He is our partner. We're so proud to be working with him because what it has done is it's having our students think, wow, I can become a business owner too. Next slide. Breathe Yoga. This woman, we need some yoga in after school and summer school. We need some mindfulness. And you know what? This lady, she is a character. We brought her in. We're teaching her and her team, and she goes and she does her mindfulness, and she needs to do some mindfulness for me. I need it right now. Next, Destiny. And Astrid's laughing because she knows, because I'm like, I have 1 more minute left. And finally, this is a partner that we're really proud of. He was introduced to me a few years ago from our former superintendent, and the timing just wasn't right. And then you know what? He came in. He is someone who is part of this community, understands our community, understands that we have to do things differently. Otherwise, our students don't have hope, and they're going to go, we don't want this school to prison pipeline. And this partner started out just doing sports and now is a provider and is actually doing mentoring for the school district. I am done, Destiny. Our partners, we are excited. Oh, last slide. Oh, last slide. Just a little peek. Summer programming. This is what you're going to be able to talk to Astrid about, because we did in 15 days, we did 30 field trips. And some of them were different just grades. We made sure that we had 30 field trips in 15 days. So there you go. I'm dropping the mic.
Awesome. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Astrid. I really enjoyed learning about the high level of standards and how to build those partnerships and zooming into some of those actual relationships that you've been able to build in your community. Now we'll have an opportunity to process in small groups. You'll be able to choose one of 3 groups to process the content today, and you get to focus on one specific topic. So the first group focuses on summer school field trips with Astrid. This came up a lot in the first session. This will be an opportunity to dig a little deeper. The second group focuses on building local partnerships. This is with Jane. And our third group is focused on professional development partnerships with Paige. Shortly, you'll receive a notification to join a breakout group. Choose one. You'll have 10 minutes to discuss. In your groups, please identify one person that can share with the larger group when we all return. And let me know if you have any questions. You'll be able to choose your group shortly. Your facilitators in those groups will share these 2 different questions that will help guide the conversation. So number 1, what partnerships would be helpful for you or your organization in the area you've chosen? Field trips, local partnerships, professional development. Explain how they would be helpful. Second piece, what possible challenges would these partnerships address? So I'm going to go ahead and open up the rooms. Go ahead and choose one of the three. And I'll see you in 10 minutes. For folks that are left in the main session, please let me know if you're having trouble choosing one of the breakout rooms. I can assign you directly. Feel free to unmute. Let me know. As a reminder, the three groups are field trips, local partnerships, and professional development.
Destiny, you want to pause the recording while we're in here?
Sure that the students were not only comfortable, but they had access to a restroom because of how far away we are from everything, but also so that the teachers had the ability to front load the students with a lesson plan. And it was an hour or two of learning, not just a bus ride where the students were listening to music or they were falling asleep. And also the ride back was what happened. They conduct a scavenger hunt to be able to know that the students actually absorbed the field trip. They had fun, but they learned. The other question with the contract timelines was, how do you know, our contracts have to be in now. And so contracts are being submitted to board as we speak, or they were submitted last summer because we know what we need for next summer, this previous summer. So planning ahead, and for those providers, community partners that don't have the ability to meet our timelines, is then we're planning field trips with them. That way we can see how they work and see if they're going to be able to meet our timelines for next year. Will they be able to work with us, and do we want them to work with us? And that was all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for covering all of that, Astrid. Yeah. And I'm glad you had an opportunity to talk about transportation and how to still be intentional with that. Thank you so much. Jane, for our second group, building local partnerships. How'd it go?
It was amazing. And I was so stressed out that we were not going to have a speaker, but somebody volunteered.
Awesome.
Hi, yes. So in our group, we basically, I asked the question of how do you really get those partners on board, right? Because I've been calling a bunch of people and you get a good conversation going and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them again, right? So Jane suggested, or for sure told us, keep calling. It's going to be up to us. They're not going to call us back. Keep calling them and help them understand your program, invite them to see the program, get them comfortable, because the chances are they're probably just scared. They haven't done this before and they need that training. So provide that paid training for them to get them going and implement it into your program. Get them excited. Let them know that this is exposure for them. We're featuring them in this program. You know, it's a benefit for them as well as it is for our students. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kamina. I think it's important to recognize sometimes it requires consistency and some persistency as well to make sure folks are on the same page, and recognizing we're human beings with our own feelings around trying new things and prioritizing that awareness to the process as well. Thank you. Paige, our third group on professional development partnerships. How did your conversation go?
I think we have someone from our group who would like to share.
Yes, hi, thank you. Yeah, I was in the group with Paige, and also with Gabby, who is somewhere and so many of the people in this webinar. But yeah, I the group because I like how Paige actually invited us to turn the question on its head and actually think about from our point of view, depending on what nonprofit or org that we're from and how we can actually increase professional development. How can we reach out to partnerships? So we talked a little bit about that, shared our mission, and just talking about how I think with both my org and Gabby's org, how we both have I think we both have a lot of great resources around us and just definitely trying to figure out how to engage more of our youth. And then also Paige invited us to kind of think about too finding partnerships that would better align with our mission. So there was some great insight that was provided there.
Thank you so much for sharing, Yasmin. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that y'all had an opportunity to play around with the question and meet your own needs to have that conversation. I'm curious if there's anyone else that has questions for our three speakers and presenters. If you were only able to join one group and maybe you were torn between two, feel free to ask any questions right now. Just unmute.
I would like to add one thing that's important to note, and it's related to the transportation piece. When you're looking at the 9-hour day, the transportation is not included in the 9-hour day. So transportation, and that's why we do it the way we do it, which is we have an instructional component on the bus where we can actually play a video and have the conversation with a mic. And then when they go, they actually, so we do front loading the day before, and then they, during the transportation time, they're watching something connected to it, and the teacher is engaging in conversation. And then we do the follow-up for the what did you learn, and then the exit tickets on the way back. So that's how we are compliant with our 9-hour day.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Jane. I think it's important to be creative with how you approach that, especially with meeting those requirements and still having intentional opportunities to engage with the students. Okay. So moving on, I'd like to thank you all for attending the Summer Synergy session of the Summer Game Plan series. As usual, by participating in this series, you'll receive a follow-up email with a recap and resources. I know there was a question earlier about access to the recording. Yes, you will have access to the recording. You will also have access to the slide deck that was used today and additional resources that we've covered. I'd like to thank our speakers today for your valuable insights as summer learning champions and experts in the expanded learning world. It truly made today's session special. So Jane, Astrid, Paige, thank you so much. We'd love to receive your feedback as attendees, so you have an opportunity to share about your experience by filling out the survey. So you can access it when you exit this meeting. You'll have a pop-up window to complete it. It takes about 2 minutes, just a few questions, and it'd be really helpful to know about your experience. Or in the follow-up email, you'll have a link to complete that survey. To continue on with the series, we have another session coming up next week on March 21st, Bright Beginnings, Enriching Summers for Early Learners. So if you're interested in how to approach summer learning for TK, this would be a great session to attend. And in April, we have Thriving Together, Building Resilient Summer Teams through Recruitment, Training, and Retention. If you're in that professional development group, this would be a perfect opportunity to continue learning in this area. Some additional resources and events from our partners that we'd like to highlight. The California After School Network, or CAN, is hosting a Spring 2024 ELOP Academy on April 3rd, 4th, 16th, and 18th. This continues conversations around summer learning, and it's done in partnership with the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division. They're offering virtual 4-day academy designed to support California educators with the ELOP. We'd also like to highlight California's expanded learning infrastructure, partners in health, mental health, and substance use prevention, intervention and treatment webinar. This one's a little later this month on March 27th from 10:30 a.m. to noon. Again, thanks for attending. I'll stick around for a few minutes if you have any questions. And and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, y'all.